I hope that you are doing well and that you have started the course well or so. For this first week, you have been invited to introduce yourselves on the platform, share and exchange your first perceptions of the course topic. And as you already know, this is a blended course, part of the Diploma of Advanced Studies on Skills during the distance learning phase. You will have the opportunity to become familiar on the key concepts and definitions of digitalization of TVET, the ILO's digitalization reference framework, processes and stages of hybridization of training device. And during the face-to-face phase, you will delve into the key steps in the process of digitizing TVET devices. You will be invited to work collaboratively on concrete case studies, and you will be directly exposed to the trends and opportunities that digitalization of TVET can offer. As I said, this week, we opened the first module, which talk about the challenges of digitization of the TVET system. Maybe before starting, I would like to ask if everyone here, if no one has had issues to access to the eCampus, and if your first experience of the eCampus was smooth. Would you have any issues to raise today regarding the eCampus, or everything is okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. So today we are going to spend about 1 hour together, and we will discuss the anticipation of skills needs, which indeed, if missing, could be a challenge, and it's relevant component of this first module. And to discuss about that, let's welcome by our ILO colleague. Let's give him the floor first to introduce himself and also to start his presentation. As we start with delay by I skipped the part to present the eCampus as no one has no issues to raise. So if you are ready, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Naomi, for the presentation. So yeah, a little bit about myself. I am Bai Sambu. I work for the ILO headquarters in Geneva. So we work on skill anticipation and matching. And today, without further ado, I'm going to present the first topic about introduction to skill anticipation and matching in the digital world. So let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. 1 second. So yes, today we are going to discuss like anticipation in the digital world and impact of digitalization in the labor market. So the learning goals of the days is to understand the key concept and definition related to skill anticipation and matching. And then we are going to the goal number 2 is to understand the rationale of identifying and anticipating current and future skill needs, identifying the global drivers of change, and what are the guidelines and tools that ILO has put in place. So before we move further, I would like to make sure that we speak the same language. So what do we mean by digital skills? What do you mean by digital skills? So the ILO has developed a global framework on core skills for life and work in the 21st century. And this framework seeks to construct a robust, concise, and coherent taxonomy and definition of core skills for policymakers, teachers, trainers, as well as to raise awareness of the importance of core skills among government, social partners, academia, and the community. So we understand core skills are 3 different level, like digital skills. Number one is the basic generic digital skills, such as like how to use a computer. And number two is intermediate digital skills and advanced skills. It is important to note that these three skills, they overlap. So digital skills overlap with foundational skills such as numeracy and literacy, and it overlap with some transversal and transferable skills such as analytical thinking, analytical thinking, emotional intelligence, and teamwork. This is what we mean by digital skills. And then number two, we are going to discuss what do we mean by skill anticipation. What is skill anticipation? So as you can see on the slide, skill needs anticipation refers to various type of imbalances between skills offered and skill needed in the world of work. So the goal here is not to answer questions such as how many IT trained to a certain level with certain qualification will be needed at this specific location. Instead, the goal is to provide to all labor market actors about potential future needs and imbalances so that they can make informed decisions, develop measures, and take actions on how to meet those needs and minimize the imbalances between skill supply and skill demand. So if you don't have any question, we can move to, do you have any question about these definitions of what do we mean by digital skills and skill needs anticipation? If you don't have any question, we can move to the next slide. So yeah, go ahead.
I don't see any questions, but please do not hesitate to, you open your mic, Matsumo. Do you have any question? Please do not hesitate to open your mic and take the floor. Thank you.
No, no more. Yeah, thank you. I just would like to. I think you can move to the next slide. Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to move to the next slide. So what is the rationale? Why do we need to do skill anticipation? What is the rationale behind skill needs anticipation in the context of TVET? It's because the changing demand for skills is way faster than training delivery. So if you look at this horizontal axis represent the typical education time frame of 4 years, while the vertical axis represent the demands of graduates. However, the pace in the demand for skills is way faster than training delivery of education and training, example, the supply of available skills. This leads to a persistent gap as observed in the plot on the vertical axis. So this is big because like it takes some time to design, finalize content of training and have it implemented in training institution due to the legal process involved. So this is the main reason why we need to do it, because training delivery, it takes some time, and like technology is just changing the way that we work, we learn and do business. So here, why this is another point why do we need to do skill anticipation, because we would like to minimize the imbalances between skill supply and skill demand. So a mismatch between skill supply and skill demand is a major challenge. So skill mismatch can be both qualitative and quantitative, and referring to situation where a person does not meet the job requirement or the level of education is more or less than the level of skill or education required to perform jobs. So we have different types of skill mismatch. It can be over education, under education, over qualification, under qualification, over skilling, skill shortage, and skill surplus. So this is why we do the type of work we do to make sure that we minimize the imbalances between training delivery and the needs of the labor market. So skill mismatch has different consequences for individuals, for companies, or for the country itself. So, but for individual, skill mismatch can lead to low return of investment in education. And investment, it can be time and money, low wage, unemployment, and lower job satisfaction. But for companies, skill mismatch affect productivity and competitiveness. And for the country, it leads to a high rate of unemployment and competitive and severe inequalities between countries and within the same country. So today there are, different drivers of change that are changing the way that we learn, the way that we work, and the way that we do business. And these drivers of change, as you can see on the screen, are technological. Technology. It can be migration, demographic change, climate change, work organization, and globalization. But because today we are talking about digitalization of the TVET system, we are going to focus specifically on technology, trying to understand how technology is changing the way that we work, we learn, and do business. Which job, which task, what skills and qualification do I need to remain employable? So in the following slide, we will explore how technology as a global driver of change is affecting the TVET institutions and the world of work. So as you can see on the screen, there are 5 technologies that drive digital transformation in TVET. In TVET. So number 1, it can be ubiquitous computing is associated with broadband, which describe high-speed internet, typical fast enough to support applications such as video conferencing and remote control of equipment. So we have the number 1 thing is access to broadband. Access to broadband, it can be like the broadband that you have at home, or like the 5G, the 3G, and the 4G. Another technology that is just changing the way we learn in the TVET system is in a remote learning environment. Social interaction enabled by collaborative technology give the possibility to maintain the human-like while learners and instructors are located in different physical areas. Like today, I am located in Geneva, Switzerland. My colleagues are located in ITC, ILO. I see some participants are located in Germany. It is because of the collaborative technology that we are taking advantage of. The third technology that is driving digital transformation in TVET is like the extended reality that have many benefits, as they can support students to understand abstract concept through investigating 3D models. And the fourth one is the very famous AI. Artificial intelligence is also increasingly being incorporated in TVET as a key tool to improve student feedback and assessment. So other applications include, we can use AI in higher education to fight anti-plagiarism. And another one we have is blockchain. These are the 5 technologies that are, changing the way that we work, the way that we learn, and the way that we do business. And at the same time, while digitalization is changing the way that we learn in TVET institutions in higher education, it changes also the way that we work. If you look at this slide here, it says around 56% of the job in Asia are likely to be automated. So that means some jobs will disappear, and because of technology, some jobs also will be created. So we need to make sure that we are prepared. We have the mechanism in place to respond to these changes. That why technology is changing our world of work, the world of education. So how exactly these changes is happening? You can see here. Hold on. Yes, it is like the rise of the gig economy. So what do we mean by gig economy? So the gig economy means to the jobs that are obtained through online platform. Form of work in the gig economy include jobs obtained through online platforms, also like the crowd work platform and work on the demand app. For example, transportation and delivery food, contributing to the rise of the gig economy. So like technology is basically just changing the way that we work, the way that we learn, and the way that we do business. Even in some jobs, like there will be some change in occupation, some jobs and tasks that will decrease in demand It includes like routine physical activities, processing and collecting data, such as machine operator, data entry clerk. All these jobs will decrease in the future. And technology also, because of technology, we have different ways of working, like more flexible working arrangement. You can be located in Africa and still work for a company that is based in the United States. So because of all these changes, the ILO has decided in partnership with UNESCO and the World Bank in 2020. The idea was just trying to understand how technology accelerated by COVID-19 is changing Tibet institutions. And if you look at these numbers, is alarmingly high. 90% of respondents reported complete closure of Tibet during the COVID-19 pandemic. And also 98 of the respondents across regions reported disruptions of work-based learning, and 78% of the respondents reported that certifying exam and assessment were postponed. That means we were not prepared to all these changes that technology has brought with the COVID-19. So the survey revealed that a shift toward remote learning measure to ensure that continuity of training, but at the same time, some responders, like in the developing nations, reported that it's not just technology. Sometimes they have underlying problems such as lack of access to general technological infrastructure like electricity, internet connectivities, and devices. So the urgent need to shift to distance learning modality was constrained by so many barriers that is not just related to technology. But if you look at this, there are some opportunities and some challenges in terms of how technology is just changing the way that we work and the way that we learn and do business. So in the context of TVET specifically, skill systems have both external and internal pressures. The number one, what they need to do, they need to be, developing trainings that are responsive to the needs of the labor market. That's number one. And number two, because internally, TVET institutions need to have like the infrastructure, and it has so many challenges for the institutions, for the staff, and for the learners. So while technology is just bringing so many challenges, there are some opportunities that we can take advantage of. But the good news is we are here to help. Like the ILO has put together so many guidelines on how to make sure that we are prepared. To deliver trainings that are responsive to the labor market. So the policy cycle with skill anticipations, skill needs anticipations, involve different stakeholders such as individuals, businesses, training organizations, and government into what type of jobs and accompanying skills are required for the labor market in the future. So skill needs anticipation is not a one-time exercise. This is not something that we have to do skill need anticipation into 2022 and then we're done. We don't have to do it again. So skills need anticipation. Given the constant and accelerating pace of change, skill development change must ensure the continual renewal of skills over the life cycle. So it starts with skill needs anticipations. When we anticipate the skills, we come up with some results. What are the trainings that are needed in the labor market? And then from there, we develop trainings, policies that are coherent to the findings of the skill needs anticipation. Then we move on to the next step, which is skills development, monitoring of training relevance, and evaluating. It is very important. It is not giving the training for the sake of giving the trainings. It is also important that we evaluate the trainings and see how these trainings are preparing the graduates and what the graduates do at the end of the training. So here we are going to talk about what are the 4 key components of skill needs anticipation. So, okay, go ahead. I see there is someone raised their hand.
Yazid, please go
Yazid,
ahead.
yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if it's the right time or the right moment to ask questions. Maybe
Go
it's
ahead.
not the way you want to do it. It's
No,
okay.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm very
Can
flexible.
you just come back to the previous slide, please?
Right here.
There's an interesting point here that it's about the monitoring of training relevance. Yeah,
Yes.
and I mean, for me, the question here is what kind of tools that could be put in place to monitor training programs on which we spend lots of time for their conception and development, and then to review them on a very regular basis, knowing that, as you said before, that the needs can change very quickly. And even if we do skills assessment and anticipation, you already know beforehand then that even if you are doing this job, things can change very quickly, and sometimes even there are dramatic changes now, yeah, in the contents themselves, yeah. What kind of tools that could be put in place so that the trainings that are developed are not outdated very quickly? That's a little bit my reflection on this.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for this question. This is actually a very good question because skills needs is just constantly changing. So we need to be prepared and put together some tools so that we make sure that we have access to the information. So I think the tools are going to be, I will talk about the tools in my next slide. If you just allow, if you just, allow me, I can move to the next slide just right after this one. So yes, these are like the four essential component of skills anticipation. Number one is institutions. Make sure that because we are a tripartite organizations, so one thing that we encourage our constituents to do is social dialogue. Social dialogue is just making sure that governments are present, make sure that employers are present, and workers' organization as well. So yeah, we have different methods and different tools to make sure that trainings are relevant to the needs of the labor market. So yeah, to answer your questions, these are the tools that we as an ILO have developed to help like our constituents make sure that they have information about the labor market, information about the trainings. So there are different tools and different methods that you can use to make sure that we are monitoring. Like we spend so much time like in designing the training, delivering the training, but these are the tools that we as an ILO help has put together and help our constituents to use. It can be quantitative modeling, big data or real-time data, Delphi survey, tracer studies, scenario development and foresight, establishments of skills survey. So these are the tools that we have put together trying to understand why the world of work is changing. How do we make sure that training institutions are aligned with these changes? So these are the tools, and if you would like to get more information, because we are talking about digitalization of TVET, I would like to spend some time on big data, like what big data is all about. So big data consists of, this is one tool that you can use depending on like what part of the world you are located, or how people in your specific countries or your specific context have access to the big data. So big data consists of the data from internet-based and digitized sources. For example, online job portals such as LinkedIn, where job vacancies are posted and individuals are listed. So basically this gives you, it takes less time in terms of like you can have access to the data and understand what are the trends, what is needed in the labor market. So if you would like to get more information about how to use big data, you can scan this QR code right here. So this is like big data is one of the tools that you can definitely use to monitor the trainings, making sure to understand that what are the trends in the labor market, what are the trends that are needed. So this is one of the tools. Like the tools, it just depends on what are the resources that you have, what is the specific context of the country. So we have different tools, but today, just because we are talking about TVET institutions, I think that big data may be something relevant, but again, depending on your specific context. Another tools that you can use is the tracer study. So what do we mean by tracer study? So the tracer study refers to surveys to assess change over time. So tracer studies provides information on students' employability, as well as to gather feedback on the relevancy or the quality of the course attended at the TVET institutions. So this is something that you can definitely use, trying to understand, to measure how the skills that are provided in the TVET institutions are responsive to the needs of the labor market. So I find it quietly like very useful, this tracer study, but we have different type of tracer studies. Tracer studies can be done by the National Research Institute or the TVET institutions themselves can put together a tracer study. And if you would like to get more information on how to carry out a tracer study, we have a very specific guideline, which is here, and all these information are available online free of charge. So yeah, and if you would like to learn more about the tools to monitor, I'm definitely happy to talk offline, or to bring some of my colleagues who can give you more information about it. So the next approach that we can use, yes, the next approach that we can use is the STED. STED, so ILO has its own approach for sectoral approach. So STED means skills for trade and economic diversifications. So this approach is very useful in terms of skills anticipation and matching, because it provides guidance on how to implement skills, needs, and anticipation at the sectoral level. So the STED approach was created in 2010 with the ILO. And since we've created this STED approach, we have worked in more than 20 countries in 40 sectors. So this STED approach, definitely it is important to work at a sectoral level sometimes, because it is more like the scope of work is narrow, and then it has the potential to generate more insight in the labor market. So we have three phases in the STED approach. Number one is the startup phase. So the startup phase, we identify what specific area do we need to prioritize, and how this specific area, it can be digital sector, like how digital sector can contribute to the development of the sector, can contribute to the development and the competitiveness of the country. So we have different guidelines. You can do like a full STED or a rapid STED, and for each of these two options, we have put together a specific guidelines that you can follow. And the next step is obviously the implementation phase. So, like I said, we have worked with so many countries in helping them, like institutions, it can be governments, in helping them put together like this STED approach. So we worked with the government of Senegal 2 years ago, developing a full STED. And because after the STED workshop, all the study, all the research and everything, we were able, like the government of Senegal was able to come up with 5 new trainings in the digital sectors. And these trainings was in line with the general strategy of the government of Senegal, Digital Senegal. So yes, I think yeah, these are some very useful tools that you can use in terms of skills anticipation and matching, trying to understand what are the needs and how those needs are responsive to the labor market in general. So when I talk about the labor market, it's very broad. So the labor market, you can have like institutions like training providers such as TVET, the workers, the employers, and the governments. So the next question is how do we do skill needs anticipation? Yes, I have talked about the tools. I have talked about the methods and the approach and everything. But how do we do it? Is it the responsibility of the government, or is it a responsibility of specific institutions? As a tripartite organization, we believe that skills needs anticipation is a joint responsibility. So we need to have the private sector on board. We need to have the social partners on board. We need to have the government on board, because all these different stakeholders, every stakeholders has a very specific role that they can play, because skill anticipations can be beneficial for everyone. Like for individuals, if they have the right skills, they can get the right jobs that pays a livable wage, and at the end of the day, they have decent work and decent life. And for government, it can contribute to the competitiveness of a very specific country and reduce severe inequalities. So public-private partnership is something that you need to work on, and social partners, making sure that like all these partners, when they come together to the table, they will discuss and see what are the skills that are needed in the labor market, and then from there the TVET institution can take over, deliver those trainings, and make sure. And the idea is not training for the sake of training again, but the idea is making sure that we are offering trainings that are responsive to the needs of the labor market, so that everybody wins. Like TVET institutions wins in terms of like their graduate placement. Individuals wins because they will get the right jobs, the right skills, and this contribute to the development of the country. So yes, as an ILO, we have put together so many guidelines in terms of how do we anticipate skill needs, how do we make sure that trainings are responsive to the needs of the labor market. So these are like some resources that we have available for you. And I would encourage you to read more. Like if you would like to know more about big data, or how to conduct a state approach, how to carry out a tracer study, how to use labor market information. So these are like the resources that we have available at the ILO. And if you would like to, if you have more questions or need more in-depth information about any of these tools, feel free to reach out to me. I will drop my email in the chat, and we can discuss more. So thank you so much for your attention, and I'm happy to take any question that you may have.
Thank you so much, Bai, for this very insightful presentation, and for your time to prepare it as well. Okay, so let's give the floor to the participant to ask questions, or if there is any comments or observations, or if you just only would like to share your experience on this topic or your expectations, please do not hesitate to participate. Yes, Yazid, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's the same time, I mean, a comment and a question for Sambu. I'm very interested in, sorry, in this STED approach, yeah?
Okay.
I don't know if, sorry again, if you take part yourself in the implementation of this approach in Senegal, and if you can say a little bit more about the approach itself and how it was implemented in Senegal for developing those 5 training courses or qualifications you were talking about before.
Yes, so we as an ILO, we provide technical assistance to our constituents. We are to countries. It can be countries, the government. So the government of Senegal, reach out to the ILO, to our specific branch, because we work on a skill anticipation and matching. So the first thing that we did was just the first thing to do a diagnostic, trying to understand what are the skills that are needed, because the government of Senegal, definitely they decided to prioritize the digital sector. So the choice was already made. So we were just trying to give them the technical assistance. The first stage that they do was like to do a study, bring on board like employers, workers, and governments on board so that they can discuss what are the skills that are needed in the labor market. So employers also was on board, like trying to understand, these are the roles that are very hard to fill. And we do not have any graduates. So sometimes they were obliged to, hire a consultant, international consultant. So yeah, all these stakeholders who are concerned and care about a very specific sector. So the idea is to bring them on board. The first stage is just like, it needs to align with the government, or it can be the training institution. So it needs to align with the priorities. And then from there, the next step was just trying to bring on board stakeholders and identify what are the skills that are needed and what are some of the skills that they would like to have, but it is not available in any of the training institutions in Senegal. And then now they have identified these five trainings that they are going to deliver. And I am sure at the end of the day, they will place the graduates, because employers was on board when we were just talking about this state approach. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to to connect offline to share a little bit more about the state approach. If you would like to talk about full state or a rapid state, yeah, I'm definitely happy to join.
Thank you very regarding this topic very specifically. I would like to invite Pai to contribute on the forum discussions, and these presentations, and also the recordings of our webinar will be provided on the eCampus platform, so you can share, you can have access on all the resources, and these exchanges on the platform would be really interesting for every participants. Thank you. Okay, we have a second question. Please go ahead. It's from Deng. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my name is Tieng Sa. Yeah, from Cambodia. Yes, I also would like to ask some more about, as everyone knows that in developing country, we are lack of in ICT infrastructure, in some Tibet infrastructure, and unequal of digital competency of the trainer and trainee, and the lack of the digital system, and also the lack of the awareness of digital. But even we have some challenge, and we have also an opportunity to learn with the developing country like Italy or Turin or something, ILO, IDC ILO. Yeah. The question that I would like to ask, how long does it take in order to bring we call institution or social dialogue from the government, from the private, in order to promote or to promote the digital system in developing country? How long does it take? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, that's a good question. So this can be like, it can take like in a matter of weeks or in a matter of months. It depends on how responsive are the institutions in your specific country. But absolutely, if you would like to go for a very specific area, like a state a rapid stead is more like, it's very fast because you can, organize a 2 days workshop where you invite employers, governments, and the workers. So the rapid stead is definitely very useful and less time consuming, and it gives you an insight so that you can have, you invite the right people at the table, so that they can respond to the meeting. So yeah, but if you would like to go for like full state, like even the time to go and do the diagnostic, trying to understand what are the skills that are needed, those takes like at least 3 months. And then from there, from the result of the diagnostic, you convene like the stakeholders, they come together trying to give some recommendation. And then from there, the recommendation, there is also the workshop. So just depending on your specific context, I think you can, like, have a full state or a rapid state. And also, like, bear in mind that full state requires some resources, financial resources, because if you would like to do some sort of study on the ground, it takes some, like, there are some money involved. So it just depends on uh, what are the resources that you have and who is leading it and things like that.
Yeah, many thanks. Bye. Would anyone else have questions regarding the presentation? Okay, thank you very much for your participation. From my side, I noted the importance of the understanding of what we are talking when we are speaking about skills anticipation, and you precise very well that it's about to inform the imbalance between the supply and the demand to inform the decision, and how big data plays also an important role for to monitor the needs in the labor market. And yeah, everything was really interesting for the course, and I would like to inform our participants as well that we have another module on tracer study, on another component of the diploma on this training pathway. But yes, we will have the opportunity maybe to share this information later on. Okay, so if there is no other questions, maybe you have a final words for our participants for today, before closing the webinar.
So yeah, I would like to thank you for your time and for your interest in the type of work that we do. We are like, knows that we have our doors are open. If you have any questions or need any resources, I have dropped my email in the chat. So I am happy to join any one-on-one conversation if you have any very specific needs related to skill needs anticipation. So yeah, I have shared also the state approach in, like, what are the resources. So yes, I've shared it, and if you would like to discuss more or have any specific question related to your specific context, I'm more than happy to join. So yeah.
Thank you very much. So from this first webinar, which set up the scene of the course, I strongly recommend you to contribute on the forum discussions and to exchange among you on this topic. And also do not hesitate to direct your questions to us on the platform, the eCampus platform, and we will revert back in due time. And we will also do our best to respond on your questions or to redirect to the resource persons. Yeah, so the final word is for me to encourage you to be active on the platform and to raise any questions on the eCampus. Yes, if anyone else If there is no other questions or observations, I would like to thank you for joining today, and we would like to give you a rendezvous, as we say in French, next week for another topic with another questions. Thank you very much. Bye. And we're looking forward to keep in touch and to continue this discussion on the eCampus platform. Thank you. Bye. Take care. See you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.